welcome. I'm Tom, your host, and this is the DROPCAST Movie Poster Podcast Interview Edition. Today I will talk to the very interesting and talented Haley Turnbull, who is another great artist from Canada that knows posters and brings a very interesting concept to life. We will talk about the way she got into this world, pop culture, and all the interesting perspectives she has to offer. So stay tuned and head over to our Instagram profile at DropMakeOfficial and check us out on YouTube as well. So now let's get started. Haley, how are you doing today?
I'm really well. How are you?
I can't complain. As I mentioned before, I had a very long day. I hope you can't see. I mean, I got little bags under my eyes, but it's okay. I'm gonna be fine.
No, you look camera ready.
I'll try. I think it's the lighting that works. Yeah, I'm really happy that this interview is happening because I really like the art you put out. Would you consider yourself more of an illustrator or more of a photo manipulator?
I would definitely say more of a photo manipulator, although I feel like I manipulate my photos to look illustrated.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like a bit of a cheat. But I am finally, after like 10 years of using Photoshop, trying to learn how to illustrate very slowly. So maybe in a couple years' time, I'll be able to say that I'm an illustrator.
All right. I mean, graphic designer, I think includes everything, doesn't it?
Very true.
Then let's keep it graphic designer, I guess. Then we can cheat a little bit here.
Okay.
Okay. So let's get into the speed round. You know how this goes, I take it?
Yes.
I'll give you a word. You just give me something you associate with that word. Alrighty? Let's get started.
I'm ready.
It's going to be 10 words. Okay. First one is color.
Black.
Favorite holiday destination.
Poland.
Poland. Interesting. Okay. Samurai or ninja?
Samurai.
Morning or night?
Night, definitely.
What's your favorite myth, tale, legend?
Myth, tale, or legend? Maybe Greek mythology? Is that
Sure. Yeah, I'll take
count?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Next one is your favorite Avenger.
My favorite Avenger is Iron Man, but from Iron Man 1.
All right. Cool. Which suit? The original one or the newly made the basically
I like
upgraded
the
version?
original,
All right. Interesting.
but I'm a sucker for an origin story.
Me too.
So,
Yeah. I get you.
you know,
Okay, next one. Your favorite Force wielder.
my favorite Force wielder. Oh my
As in
gosh,
Star
that's
Wars,
such a
you know?
good
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna say Darth Maul.
All right, good choice. Good choice. I'll take
I
it.
think he's the most interesting one. Yeah.
All right. Tool.
Tool. I like an electric drill.
All right. And book.
Book. My favorite book, I think, is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt.
All righty. And last but not least, what was your best picture pick?
My best picture pick was Nomadland, so I wasn't surprised that it won
Yeah.
it, but I was kind of holding out a little bit of hope that maybe Minari would take it,
Okay.
but I think it went to the best one.
I think so too. But I have to say it was a tight field this year. in terms of
Very
nominations.
tight. I agree. In so many categories, it was
Yeah.
really, it was a tough decision.
Yeah, I had since I we had like I do always this show in German with my colleague, and she and I we talked about the Oscar predictions, and we had like all we went through all the
Mm,
categories, did our picks, and I put it on the website. I think you saw that, not on the website, on Instagram,
yeah.
so people could vote. And I had, I think, my personal categories. I went through them this morning, and it was, I think it's 23 or something like that. So I think I missed six or seven was so, but it wasn't okay.
Oh wow, you did well.
Yeah, but some are fairly open. Like I don't know, all the Soul, like the awards Soul one. I mean, that was 100% for sure
Hmm.
Soul. So I had a couple things went to The Father where I thought it was going to be Mank, but it is what it is, I
Yeah, I
guess.
was surprised. Mank is the kind of film I think that it just seems like something that Academy members would really vote for. So I was kind of pleasantly
Hmm.
surprised that it didn't. I feel like in other years, Mank would have like swept
Yeah.
a lot of the categories. So I think that was an educated guess, though.
Yeah, I mean, did you watch all of it, by the way, or all the
I
movies?
didn't watch all of it. I mean, it was 3.5
No, I mean
hours.
the movies, and I was talking about like all the
Oh, I
nominated
watched
movies.
all of the Best Picture noms. I didn't watch every like for every category, but all the
Hmm.
Best Picture ones I watched. Yeah.
Okay, so because I thought The Father was really strong in terms of acting, I think that's why Anthony Hopkins won as well.
Mm.
Um, but still, I would have
Oh,
wanted Riz Ahmed to win, but also Chadwick Boseman for his last performance. But
I know. It was definitely. I agree with you. Like The Father, I think was a pretty perfect, very difficult movie to watch. I
yeah.
think in a lot of ways, especially if you have like your own. If you have anyone in your family who's
Hmm.
suffered from dementia or Alzheimer's, passed away with those illnesses.
Hmm.
It's you almost I had to pause it like a number of times.
I can
It was just
understand. Yeah,
kind of a lot,
it was a downer at
and
some points.
really, yeah, it really was. It's like, oh my gosh, it's you kind of had to struggle to get through it, but truly, I think a pretty perfect performance. But I have such a soft spot for Sound of Metal
Hmm.
too, so I totally agree with you. Riz Ahmed was like, wow, unbelievable. And Chadwick Boseman, his performance in particular, I think was so strong. I didn't necessarily love Ma Rainey's Black Bottom as a
Yeah, I
film.
enjoyed it though, but his performance was great. I think, but I had like my
Yeah,
colleague. She also said she didn't like it that much either. So
you had to get through, I think, a lot of the film before you got to his like really incredible scene.
hmm.
But yeah, it would have been really nice, I think, for him to, for the Academy to have honored him in that way.
Yeah,
But yeah, very tough,
since
tough category.
Anthony Hopkins he won already. Also Gary Oldman. I mean, would have been okay. I think Riz Ahmed is going to turn out another great performance. I think this wasn't the last nomination that he's going to
Yeah,
get. So
agreed. He's got more Oscar nominated films ahead of him for sure.
hmm. And yeah, speaking of the Oscars, you also did like a couple other artists did as well, and that went really well over on Twitter. The Oscar series that you did, and I'm just gonna pull it up here for the people to
Mm.
see all the posters that you turned out. And what was the idea behind that? How did you come up with these?
So I had only known about this. I'm really new to this community. I've only been
Okay,
been doing this for like 6 months. So
well, you got to start somewhere.
last year, yeah, you got to start somewhere, and I kind of saw this as a trend that was happening last year when I saw Eileen's
Yeah,
posters, her Oscar
yeah.
posters,
Shout out
and
to
I thought,
Eileen, by
God,
the
that's
way.
such a fantastic idea. Yeah, shout out to Eileen, who's wonderful
Hmm.
and has been so helpful, like just as a
Yeah,
person in the community who is very giving of her own time and own
yeah.
advice.
She's really great.
And of course, like she's an incredible designer,
Yeah.
obviously, as well. So, um, and so I thought, okay, well, let me try that this year. And it was really fun. I think there's always kind of like a race to, you want to get them out in a timely manners.
Yeah.
So everyone's there was a lot of people who did it this year, who put out some truly like incredible
Hmm.
designs. So it's always this like there's lots of really cool stuff coming out in a very short amount of time, which is a nice little challenge.
Yeah, I have to say I really enjoyed from these ones. The Mank poster was really cool. I like the Sound of Metal and the the kind of landscape version for Nomadland, which was really cool. Those I think those are my
Thank you.
favorites here.
Yeah.
So how did like because like Eileen always does it like she has like this kind of concept. Is there something for your series as well that you put out for a concept, or did you just do each of them individually?
I tend to do them each individually. And I always kind of wrestle with that because I always sort of think to myself, is it more important that they should all have like one very cohesive style where they're recognizable as all being part of a series? Or is it more important to, um, I think it always ends up being
Hmm.
more important for me to like conceptualize each of them
Yeah.
individually based on the feeling of the individual film. So I always tend to go that way.
Okay. What's your favorite, like personally, in terms of what you've created?
I think Mank, maybe because that one just took me so long.
Okay.
I started out with like I have like 7 unfinished PSDs on my computer that were just like terrible, or some
Mm,
that I thought I got like really far in, and then I like opened it up the next day and I was like, this is awful. So I
mm,
had to restart. So that one just took a really long time,
okay.
and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah. Also, like, do you have any other from the other people that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, I really loved all of Scott
Oh yeah,
Saslow's
Scott, man. He's been the first person on the
Oscar
show, by the
pieces.
way.
Was
Yeah,
he?
yeah. He's a good
I
dude.
didn't know that. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he's such a good dude and so talented. And he made one actually. It was for Promising Young Woman,
Hmm.
and it was like a how you say, like a lipstick tube,
Hmm. I saw that
and
one. Yeah.
the lipstick part of it was like exploded. I saw that and I just thought that was my like jaw dropped when I saw that. Phenomenal. So yeah, but so many of them are so good, and I do really like the ones that are like how Eileen does it in the series because it's the total opposite of what I do. So I always like all of those ones too.
Hmm. But by the way, how did you do the Minari one? Was it did you have to put in like each Minari yourself, like each one, or how was it?
Yeah, I did, and I had to look up like what Minari was like after I saw the film. You
Yeah.
see it, so I was kind of looking up like how do you find a good photo of it in
Hmm.
stock, and then I couldn't really find it, so I was just kind of using whatever I could find that was sort of
Yeah.
similar, and then cutting them all out individually. But it was funny, that one got so much attention on Twitter. I was like really surprised because I actually thought it was sort of the weakest of the ones that I did, and I thought, I don't
Oh,
know if I should
oh,
even
not at
post
all.
this. I don't know if people are gonna like it, but no, it was really lovely that it got a nice reaction. It took a long time, but
Yeah, I think
yeah, really
the
nice.
concept on this one is really strong, and I think that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, it worked out at the end.
Exactly. Okay, the next one there's going to be individual ones that I want to talk about, and first
Mm.
one is the Cell. You did the Cell piece for the
Ah.
Jennifer Lopez movie from 2005 or whenever it was. But yeah, how did this come about?
So last year, it was November, and I was at home because I had been laid off from work because of COVID, and that was like when I really started kind of designing these alternative movie posters
Hmm.
just for myself, and it was at that time that I actually discovered this whole community. So I was watching a lot of like horror movies because it was like post Halloween,
Hmm.
and I loved that image. For anyone who's I mean, I don't think we have to worry about spoilers because
Yeah,
it's like a 20-year-old movie, but
totally fine.
there's a scene in the film. Basically, Jennifer Lopez is playing kind of like a therapist who, with this special technology, can go into the minds of her clients, and one of the clients that she's dealing with is this criminal. He's like a serial killer who has a victim that the police is trying to
Yeah, that was
find.
Vincent
And he has
D'Onofrio,
this
right?
very disturbing,
Or who was it? Yeah,
yeah, Vincent
yeah, mhm,
D'Onofrio, who's such an incredible
yeah.
actor and very like disturbing in this movie. And she goes into his mind, and he has this very disturbed mind. He suffered a lot of trauma as a child, and so there's all these very like disturbing things that she encounters,
Mhm.
including this very iconic scene of this horse who is split in these multiple panels, which I thought, oh my God, that's the most incredible scene like I've ever seen, and it was so strong
Mm.
visually. And I thought that would be the best, uh, the best thing to make for a poster. And of course, because I'm not an illustrator, I had to find all these like images in stock. So I was looking, I
How?
think
How do you
my
find that?
Adobe stock history. I was searching up like intestines.
Wow.
I don't know if anyone ever like, if the FBI is like watching my history, they're probably like, what is this girl doing? This is just very strange. But yeah, it took a long time, but I'm so happy with how it turned out.
Mm. It looks incredible. I wonder I wonder why did you pick the like this kind of pink and like the pink lemonade almost background for that, because it looks so
Mm.
soft, but also the horse looks so harsh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I like that sort of aesthetic
Hmm.
juxtaposition. Um, of like a horror element, or a very disturbing element with something that uh, is very opposite. But I also kind of thought that the film is like that in a way, because of course it's dealing with this very disturbing subject matter, but then you have Jennifer Lopez in it, who I don't know that anyone, maybe even when the movie came out, I think people were kind of like, what is Jennifer Lopez doing in like
Yeah.
this movie? She's like a singer and doing things that are very opposite from that. So yeah, and I think that sometimes that's a good way to play visually, instead of doing things that are obvious, just to really play on those opposite aesthetics. I think a lot of interesting things come from there.
Alrighty. The last piece I want to talk about is your Point Break one. I think that was a very recent one that you created, right?
Mm,
What's the story behind this one?
so I applied for AMP's 30 by 30
Oh, okay. There
show,
you go.
which is coming up for 1991, and I didn't get it. And I was like, I'm still gonna try and make, let me still try and make a piece for the film that I had chosen, which was Point Break, which is one of my favorite
Hmm.
movies. It's so good. And let me just see what I could come up with and see what I would have done. So it took me a long time. Took me a good few weeks. Usually I work really like quickly,
Hmm.
and I don't ever really sketch anything out. I just kind of start working in the file. Um, but yeah, it took me a long time, and I was really, really happy with how it turned out, and have sold a bunch of them, which is really
It's nice.
lovely.
What and what kind
Yeah,
how did you put it out, as a G clay or?
yeah, they're all giclée. I have not graduated to screen printing yet. I think that's like
It's gonna be all right. I
that's the
mean,
final
not
frontier.
everything has to be screen printed, to be honest. And I mean, lithographs are really great as well. And we can G clays are most
Mm.
of the time very expensive, but the lithographs are a little cheaper. And yeah, but it doesn't have to be
Yeah,
screen printed.
that's a whole other world. Although it's funny, because when I first started, somebody asked me, um, there were a bunch of people who asked me about some of the early prints I made for like the Cell, and I did
Mm.
one for Silence of the Lambs, that a bunch of people had said, oh, like, do you have a screen print available? And I was like, what's a screen
Hmm.
print? I was like, what is that? So I was like, I don't know that I can do that, but eventually I'm hoping to get there. I have a couple people who keep emailing me, and I keep saying, I'm going to figure it out, I promise. So I will get there eventually.
Alrighty, sounds very good. But speaking of, you don't have a clue about it. How did how did this all start? Did you go to university? What did you study? And I guess screen printing wasn't a part of it.
No, screen printing was definitely not a part of it, but I did go to university. I didn't go. I mean, I went to art school as
Okay.
well, but for high school, not for university.
Okay.
So I went to an art school here in Canada, really well known,
Mm-hmm.
in Toronto, called ESA, and I did their visual arts program. And it was completely traditional, including printmaking. So you'd think that I would know
Mm-hmm.
what a screen print is. I guess I forgot a lot from school, but no digital art at all. So everything I know, I've just like taught myself
Oh, okay.
from messing around in the program. Um, and then I went to university for something totally different, and I got my BA, and then I got my MA in something totally different. And then I had like a whole other career in a completely separate field as well. So
Well,
I've
like,
really just
what did you
been,
do, if I can ask?
I worked in the fashion industry.
As like a
So
buyer
I
or
don't know that that's the typical. No, as a manager for a boutique for a designer based in New York, and
interesting.
yeah, I had a lovely like career there. And with COVID, everything kind of really got a bit
Yeah.
difficult. And so I all of a sudden had a lot more time to be devoting to this. And I think like a lot of designers, even if you're not doing it as your job, you're just designing all the time other things for friends and events. And,
Mm.
people come to you and say, oh, I want a logo and things like that. So I just did that for many
Mm-hmm.
years, and am now finally kind of making um, a go of it, which is very nice, but still very new. So we'll see.
All right, sounds good to me though. Where do you go to university? In Toronto as well?
I went to the University of Toronto.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's so you were born and raised in Toronto, I take it.
Yeah. I've lived a lot of different random places though, and traveled a lot. And I've been out
Uh,
on the West Coast and spent a lot of time in Europe and all around.
in Europe, where did,
Never been to Germany though,
that was the
sadly.
question. Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
Sorry. And it's so close to Poland
Yeah,
too.
I see
So
exactly.
I've never.
Coming back to that question, why
Right.
why
I know.
Poland?
Well, I'm Polish background, and
Okay.
so it's I do think it is a place that people are kind of like, why would you go there? And I'm like, no, it's great. Um, but it's lovely there, and but
What's your favorite?
your money goes a lot farther in Poland because they use the zloty than in
Yeah,
Germany, so that
true.
plays a part too.
What is your favorite city in Poland?
My favorite city is either Warsaw, which is the capital,
Hmm.
or I really love Sopot, which is I don't know if you've ever been there
Which one?
into Poland.
I've been to
It's
Poland,
called
but
Sopot.
I
It's
don't.
right on the coast, the very north coast, right on the Baltic.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about though, but I never been there. I just been to Krakow,
Oh
and
yeah, okay.
I've been to Posen. Never been to Warsaw though,
Mm,
and just been driving through Poland a couple times. But
that's
so
nice. That's the joy of living in Europe.
it is one of the things we have that's kind of nice. That's true. But
Yeah.
but do you know other Polish artists? I mean, there are a couple of great ones like the twins, Gabs and his brother
Yes. Yeah,
Christoph.
Gabs is like oh my gosh, he's the pinnacle, I think, of poster design, truly. And has an absolutely gigantic following. And then I really like Plakiat. I don't know
Yeah,
I only know like
I know who you're
Instagram
talking about.
handles. I
Yeah.
don't know their right. He's absolutely phenomenal too, and works in a very interesting
Hmm.
style, I think, as well. He like makes his own textures a
Yeah.
lot using photography, which I think is so neat. But it's interesting because Poland has a really rich history of poster making. Like there's
Hmm.
actually the Polish poster school, because when it was obviously part of the USSR, there was a rule where all movie posters, like all movies that were being shown in Poland, had to have a Polish poster or a poster designed by a Polish artist. So
Yeah.
there's a really rich history of poster making in
Those
Poland, which is kind of a nice
Those Polish
Thanks.
posters are crazy. I mean, the Star Wars one. I
They're
always
they
mention the Star Wars one
really
is
are.
incredible. But
Yeah, they're very different from North American
yeah,
posters.
yeah, exactly. But you wouldn't like on the first look, you wouldn't guess what kind of movie it is. Kind of sometimes, it's like, what is this?
Totally.
How does it fit in here? And then,
Yeah, people kind of like, and there's shops in Poland where
mm,
you can see a lot of them, and you see people kind of like looking in the windows like, what the heck is that? Like, what's it for, right? So
mm.
it's kind of a puzzle.
You gave me also a great picture from your college time. What is that all about?
Oh gosh. Well, I really had to look through. I don't use Facebook anymore. So I I had to really go through. I hope you're pleased that I had to go on this hunt, and
Sure.
I didn't want to like include a photo of anybody that would be like, I had to find one of myself because we got up to some real mischief in
Okay.
university.
I see how it
Um,
is.
so I thought this was a good one to prevent anyone from being incriminated in anything that they didn't want to be. So
That's the stuff you
just a
put on
regular
Facebook.
day.
You know how that works, right?
I know. And you really this brought it all back up for me that I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have all this stuff on here that
Uh-huh.
I have to quickly try and find a way to delete." So that's what I'll be doing for the rest of the day, I guess.
There you go. But was it a party or what happened here?
I honestly don't really know. I think
Okay.
it might have been a party or it might have been just like a random Tuesday. I don't know
Okay.
what was happening there.
I
It,
see.
it really could have been either or.
I can see what your life is like now.
Yeah,
But
I live a very exciting life.
also, did you start out in university with poster making as well, to some sort of, to some extent, or was it at a later point?
Yeah, I mean, I know I sent you a couple posters that I made in university. I think university is where the actual poster part, instead of just digital art, but posters
Hmm.
really came out. I went to a very small college at the University of Toronto called Trinity College, and
Hmm.
really extra, and we were all real keeners, and so there was lots of like extracurricular stuff all going on. So there were always
Was
like theatrical productions.
I just wonder if because I talked to a bunch of Canadian artists. I think
Mm.
Trinity College came up. I'm not sure. Like I don't
Oh
know.
gosh, did it really?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe I remember wrong, but I mean, I talked to Sarah Deck. I talked to Phantom City Creative, Paige and
Mm.
Justin. I talked to Matt Ryan Tobin. So, bunch of people.
It's sort of a well-known um, college. It's maybe a bit infamous, I suppose. Very small and really based on like how colleges are sort of done in like in the UK, kind of that
Hmm.
Oxford tradition. So I think we were all very we all had academic gowns, and we
Hmm.
had a big, beautiful dining hall, like how it looks in Harry Potter. We were all very
Yeah,
pompous, and I'm sure very
very
full of
traditional.
ourselves. Yeah,
But I have to say, yeah, I'm gonna challenge you on that because my university was actually a castle.
it was a real castle, eh?
It was a real castle. It was in Potsdam in Sanssouci,
Oh my
and
gosh.
yeah, it was basically a castle back in the day.
So that's pretty incredible. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
top that, truly.
I mean, it comes close to the like those traditional Oxford style universities, but there's been actually a
Yeah, but
castle in
they're
it.
really just basing it off of what you had, obviously.
Yeah,
So
but I
there
mean,
you go.
it hasn't been it. I mean, the university. I don't know how old is the university. I don't really know how old it is, but I mean, they have the big park, and it was for the king at that time. He built a bunch of buildings all around Potsdam, which is like close by Berlin, and
Mm.
yeah, so that was really interesting stuff, I have to say. But to study
I mean,
there,
not everybody can say that they went to school in a castle, so
basically, so yeah,
there you
that's
go.
pretty cool. All right. So your first tries. I want to get into that. You gave me a picture of palpitations. What was it for? Is it something for an in class? Just you could pick something, or was the assignment here?
No, it was just it was a play by a friend of mine. There was like a dramatic society, and the
Mm-hmm.
college put on these big plays, and they were like really well done. There was really talented people who were involved, and they just needed a poster, and I was the one that they asked,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, let's do it. And I did a lot of things like this that were, plays and things for charity events, or like sports clubs at the
Mm-hmm.
universities and things like that. Very kind of all, different tiny little projects. I'm actually surprised that I thought to myself, when you asked for like first tries, I was like, God, I don't have anything. But then I saw that on Facebook, I had a portfolio album, and I was like, oh, I was smart to
There
put that
you
up,
go.
because otherwise I would have just lost all of these. So I surprised myself with my own foresight. So that usually doesn't happen. So that turned out well.
And the other one is for Star Versat. I don't know what or.
Okay, so at the place that I went to university, they have these big charity like balls,
Mm-hmm.
and this one is called Conversat, but every year the name changes based on what the theme is.
Okay.
So it was sort of like a David Bowie like space theme, so they
Mm-hmm.
called it Starversat. um but yeah, and I actually really liked that piece, and throughout the years I had thought to myself like, oh, I wish I had kept one of those, and then I found it because of you. So a happy ending to that story.
There you go. See, sometimes it pays to do an interview.
It does.
Okay, and yeah, since I do a lot of movie reviews, I was wondering what was the last movie or maybe a good TV show that you saw?
Um, the last movie that I watched was Sound of Metal. That was the last of the
Mm-hmm.
Oscar noms, and I loved it. Um, I was like not. I think that was the one that I was least not interested in, but it was the one that I thought maybe I would have the least amazing reaction to.
Okay.
I don't like listen to heavy metal
Yeah, me neither.
music, and I don't know anything about it, and I kind of thought like, I don't know what this is going to be, but I was so like unbelievably blown away by it.
Yeah.
And it ended up being one of those movies for me, and maybe you have these too, where you just like you end up really still thinking about it like days and
Yeah,
days
yeah, of course.
later.
Those are the best.
Right? I was just, oh my gosh, it really was like that for me. I thought it was incredible. And then television shows, I feel like I haven't watched anything really good lately, but
Falcon?
I
Falcon and the
do
Winter
want to
Soldier?
watch Shadow and Bone.
Did you watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier yet?
Yes, I did.
That
I
wasn't good?
thought it was
Here we go.
okay.
Controversial takes. Why
I
okay?
don't know that this is I don't know that this is a controversial take. I think that
A lot of people enjoyed it, I have to say.
no, but I think that that's true. I thought it was very enjoyable. Um and I do think that the whole storyline around having, a black Captain America was excellent,
Mm-hmm.
and very emotional. I just somehow, the Marvel television shows,
So you didn't like WandaVision
I
either?
tend to like find myself I just find myself kind of like zoning
Huh.
out always in like the middle of an episode.
Okay,
And I'm
interesting.
kind of like, okay, I don't know. It's something. Maybe I'm just not the right like audience. I did really love WandaVision though.
Okay. I really liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well, especially from the perspective of that people without a country, and like in terms of
Mm.
refugees and all of that. I think that was really really interesting, and it expanded the world of the movies, and that was very interesting to me to see that part and what the government does, and that people are fighting for this. And I think that gave a voice kind of to people in the real world. And I think that was done really well.
I think you're right. I think again that like those kind of, I don't know that like woke is the right word to use, but I think it did a really good job at bringing up concerns, like political
Hmm.
concerns that we see obviously being represented right now in our actual lives. I think it represented those in the show really
Yeah,
well, which is a very
timely,
pleasant
timely. I think timely is a
surprise.
good word. I think.
Yeah, very much so.
And yeah, Shadow and Bone. I just finished it yesterday. I think it was really cool.
Oh my gosh. Okay, because I've read all the
You
books,
did?
and
Okay.
when it came out, I was like, oh my gosh. So I know, and I read them a long time
Hmm.
ago, and uh, and then I had seen the trailer, and I was so excited, and then just the other day, I was on Tumblr, and everyone had gifs of it, and I was like,
Wait, what?
what?
I mean, it
What?
came out on
I somehow totally forgot the
it
day
came out
that it was
on
coming out,
last
and I
week,
had to
right?
like X out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely missed it, and so I'm trying not to, even though I'm not a person who's bothered by
But you know
spoilers.
the story, right?
um I do know the story, but you never know, like,
It's
and
true.
apparently it's quite close to the
Yeah, I
book.
heard that too.
So but you still don't want to see like everything beforehand, you have these like long gift sets, and you're like, okay,
Hmm.
well, now
Okay.
like I've seen the whole thing.
I understand. I understand.
But I'm gonna start watching it tonight.
I have to say, the only thing for me is that I'm missing a little bit of exposition in terms of
Mm,
that I would love to see some more like more world building in terms of like like the I mean it's very similar to Game of Thrones in kind of sense. I get what people are saying there.
yeah, I've heard this comparison a lot.
Yeah, and I would have loved to see more of like where are we? What is this fantasy world? Because you only get to know, I mean, the fold obviously, and the two different sides, and you
Right.
hear about some other parts, but you like map wise, I would have loved to see where they are on a map, and is that I mean, it sometimes seems like very Russian in terms of like what they like how they dress and how like the names are and stuff like that. So I wonder
Hmm.
where the influences are here, and like what like does it is it
Yeah,
supposed to be like I don't know, is it supposed to be like Russia basically? Is it supposed to be
I
like
think it
Eastern
is.
European countries?
Yeah, I think because the country I think is in the books is called Ravka. I
Exactly,
think
yeah.
if
It's
I'm
that's what's called here
remember
as well.
that
Ravka.
correctly.
Ravka is correct, yeah.
Um, and uh, I do remember from the books that it had a very Eastern European,
Mm-hmm.
and I think specifically sort of Russian influence. Even
Mm.
though obviously there were like pretty strong fantasy elements built
Yeah.
in, but I can see just from the trailer and everything and all the stills from the episodes that they've kept that influence. Yeah, that'll
Mm-hmm.
be interesting to see. I mean, I do think that one thing that Game of Thrones did really well is it did end up really building,
Mm-hmm.
especially like family to family, the sort of aesthetics
Mm-hmm.
of each individual group was laid out really well. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see. You don't want it to all feel like muddled together, right?
Mm-hmm. How was it in the books though? Is that where you have like more of the world? Like do they tell you more about different cultures and different? I mean, you have this kind of
Kind
this
of.
you have the story with
Like
Nina. You know what I'm talking about? Nina something. I forgot her name, last name.
you have I think like in the book we're very focused on um Alina's story, and
Yeah.
she grows up as this like very sheltered person,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we don't see like that much outside of her. I think she grows up in like an
Orphanage, yeah.
orphanage,
That's what they
right? Yeah.
use there in the
And
movie as well.
so she doesn't have like, um, it's not like a Tolkien kind of where you get these like long paragraphs about,
Okay.
like each
I think
individual kind of group.
I think that's what I was looking for because I'm
Yeah,
I'm spoiled
exactly.
by
I can tell.
Tolkien.
You don't really get that in the book either.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like the world building in the book was done well.
Okay.
So maybe not to Tolkien's level, but I don't know if anybody really gets
Yeah,
to that
totally.
level.
I mean, I think
But we'll see.
yeah, I think I would have loved more exposition in that kind of sense, getting more information because
Mm,
I like this kind of like the even like for example when I look at Star Wars, I like to just
right.
go through Wikipedia and look up planets and races and what they're known and what's the language. I even like at some point I used to play the Star Wars online role play game, and
Okay.
I looked up Huttese, and I was actually a role player. I went to like cantinas in the game, and I started talking in Huttese. So yeah,
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
yeah, it's the fun stuff I
Well, but
did. Super nerdy, but
it speaks to the longevity of those. I mean, obviously there's people who speak like Sindarin and
hmm
know Elvish and,
by the way, you can
obviously Huttese,
on
right?
Duolingo. You know the app Duolingo? It's like a language
I
learner
do.
app, yeah, and they have Elvish in there.
Wow, I think if you've made it to Duolingo, I think Tolkien would be so pleased
hmm
to know that.
Yeah,
I think that would be the ultimate win for him because he started out,
yeah,
I mean, he
exactly.
based it off of the
Yeah,
language, right?
yeah,
Oh
it's
my
a history of
goodness.
language.
I hope his
All the
ghost is happy.
yeah, he better is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what is a must-see movie that will come out soon? Is there something you're really looking forward to?
Well, I'm sure like everyone you've asked probably has the same like one or two.
Yep,
So I don't know. I'm sure that I'll be the same. I'm like the number one is Dune
of course,
for me, and
it's the
number two
same
is
for a lot of
Green
people.
Knight, which
hmm
probably okay, yeah.
And The Green Knight also, yeah.
So that's yeah, they're like and honestly um I did look it up to see what else is coming out and like maybe I
Mm.
missed something really good, but those are really the two true like standouts for me for the next. I
Mm.
think Dune is supposed to come out in
August, right?
like September, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
August, September, somewhere around
early
there.
fall or right at the end of the
And Green
summer.
Knight is end of July,
And then I
right?
don't know when the
And
Green
I think
Knight
end of July.
end of July. Okay.
So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so hopefully the one thing that I really want to be able to do, because we're on lockdown here,
hmm
as I'm really hoping that like I'll be able to take my father to go see Dune in IMAX because he is an absolutely gigantic Dune fan. And I know everybody probably says that. Everyone's like, I'm the biggest Dune fan, but my dad really is. He's in his 70s and he read Dune when he was like 15.
Did
So he's been waiting a long time.
did you get him the Matt Griffin Dune poster?
I didn't, even though that is such an unbelievably, oh my gosh, I was so blown away when I saw that. Um, what an incredible, and I liked both variants. Like they were, very subtle differences, but absolutely incredible. Um, wow, that is like the pinnacle. That was an absolutely phenomenal work.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm still waiting on mine. I got some AP, so that's really looking forward to those coming in.
Well, and you are, I mean, I know you're a big collector, so that's an amazing piece
Yeah,
to add to your that truly is like the pièce de résistance for
it
sure.
is. It's definitely one of the high possessions I have in my collection. That's for sure. But I have to say also,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about like one artist that I really enjoy, and you put him in here, and we'll talk about that piece in a little bit. But for now, what's your favorite movie then?
What's my favorite movie? My favorite movie is Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park easily, and you include some really cool alt posters. You included the one for by Ruiz Burgos, and did you get that one?
I didn't, but I know it sold out very quickly. I
Yes, it
think it
was.
sold out in like 2
Yeah, that's
minutes.
what's
So,
happening most of
you
the
know,
time.
I know and I'm so happy because that's such an incredible work, and he obviously deserves like it to sell out immediately.
Mm,
But that truly is like I remember even years ago when I watched the film, I would think to myself like that specific scene that he chose for that
hmm.
poster would have been the scene that I would have used. Like that's such an iconic, like you can't top that, right? It's
Yes.
so to see the scene that I personally thought like, wow, that would make an amazing poster. To see that realized in
Mm.
this work so well, I was like,
And
oh, it's
like all the
beautiful.
details in it, and it's like really amazing piece. And
Amazing, incredibly done.
you also include the piece for or by Claire Hummel, and that's also a really cool piece.
Mm.
How did you did you grab this one, or did you just know about it?
No, I just knew about it. I've been following Claire for like many, many years, and I know that she's not primarily a poster
Hmm.
artist. Obviously, she's an illustrator, and she does a lot of work for like video games
Hmm.
and things like that, really cool character building, but she doesn't do a lot of alternative movie
Hmm.
posters. And when I saw this work, and I remember thinking, God, that looks so familiar. And when I saw it was her, I thought, oh geez, that's amazing. Like it really truly, you can see her style.
This
And I'm not really a
Yeah.
collector, but those are both pieces that I would love to have.
I mean, you got the chance for Ruiz Burger's piece. Definitely, he's going to drop some APs in the future, so that's something you could get.
Oh really? Oh, that's good to know.
It's gonna happen. Yeah, just follow the blog. I will post it definitely so people know about it. And
I will. Oh my goodness, I'll wait with bated breath.
yeah, there you go. And yeah, the Jurassic Park piece by Claire Hummel has the scene in it that and Indiana Jones was one of the reasons that's why I wanted to be an architect, an archaeologist back in the day when I was young.
Oh,
So
well, I mean, you couldn't ask for better influences,
indeed,
really. I mean, they're very formative.
yeah,
Like they're very emotional in how they set up that career.
yeah, indeed. Um, Next question would be what or looking at that and some other posters by other artists as well. What is what are one of your favorite posters as of right now? Could be anything from key art to digital art to alternative movie posters. What is it something you really enjoy right now?
I really liked. Um, I know I sent you a bunch of ones that I like, and I know they're all really like very different from each
Hmm.
other. But there's a sicario print in there, and actually, I just want to pull it up on my phone because it's so
Yeah,
beautiful. I just want to look
that's
at
that's
it.
the one I wanted to talk
It's
about.
like truly, yeah. So it's Jake Cantu,
He's
and I actually had to message him. Oh
You
God,
did?
it's so beautiful. I'm looking at it now, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's
He's
amazing.
he's
Like
incredible.
I had to message him when it came out. I was like, this is a
Yeah,
masterpiece.
he's a good friend by now, and we talk at least once a week, and yeah, he's very incredible with the art he's doing. I just got one of his casino APs, and this cause
That's such a good
yeah, it's
piece too.
incredible. I love
Wow.
that one, and I'm so happy that I have this one and that I have it up there. It's standing right next to The Empire Strikes Back by Matt Ferguson, the 40th anniversary piece.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, there's some two of my favorite pieces in my collection.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I mean, he's obviously incredibly
Hmm.
talented, but this poster in particular, and I think one of the things that this does so well is obviously like there's so many posters that use this theme of all the characters together, and that's a
Hmm.
very sort of like Drew Struzan-esque
Yeah.
kind of influence, but a lot of the time they can look really busy, and you kind of lose that like emotional connection because it's just like a whole bunch of people at once.
Hmm.
But this one truly does um and it's not just that the characters are standing there, like you really feel what the characters are all about from the images that he's chosen to
Mm-hmm.
illustrate. And again, I mean, you've called it out before, but like those little details, the background being the like, infrared, like computer vision of like
Yeah.
the land that they're traversing. But I'm just a big Sicario fan
Are
also.
you
It's one of my favorite movies. So
are you going for one piece, one of the pieces when they come out as an artist proof?
yeah, I really do want one, and I messaged him, and he said that he would be bringing some out. Actually, it's funny. My dad's favorite movie is Sicario, so I really wanted to buy this. I hope this. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna watch this. I don't know if he really like knows 100% what podcasts are, but um, I would love to buy that as a present to him. So yeah, that would be lovely. A beautiful piece to have for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, and you brought some others. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say, I am in a commission group for Ghost of Tsushima piece by Jake,
Oh my gosh, wow.
and they
Okay. Yeah, I mean
and
he's one of those people who's like an instant anything he makes is going to be
yeah,
phenomenal.
and the Ghost of Tsushima pieces are done, but they're not printed yet, but they look so incredible. They are my
Okay.
background wallpaper right now on my phone. I mean, they're just great.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so exciting. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
remind me,
That's wow. Okay,
I
really
I'll
good
show
things to
you.
look
I'll show
forward
you
to.
afterwards.
Okay, I will for sure.
Yeah, you put out some others. One of them is the Halston piece by for like Rhubarb Agency, which is for the Netflix show
Yeah.
with Ewan McGregor, right, as Halston.
Yeah. And I actually didn't know that this was coming
Mm-hmm.
out. I mean, I'm from like the fashion industry, so I know a lot about
Yeah,
Halston. So I don't know how this like slipped past my net. I wasn't like paying very close attention, I guess. But yeah, I think that like being someone who's not an illustrator technically, I really love a lot of posters that are just a photo, and
mm-hmm.
I think that um, it's not for me. It's not even necessarily like, is this a beautiful drawing or is this a beautiful painting? But it's all those other aspects of the poster that come
Yeah, the
together
composition, right?
because it's an advertisement, right? Like, yeah, it's a marketing piece. So I love the photo that they chose. I love the composition of it. I love the font. I don't know if that's a real font or if it's hand done.
Yeah,
I love that it's like up there on the side. The whole thing just has a very like, kind of like 70s, like blow
yeah,
esque feel. I thought they just really perfectly encapsulate, and it doesn't look hokey,
yeah. I
because you
mean,
can go like too far with it, and then you're kind of like, eh.
it's a great poster. I haven't seen this one. I know about the TV show, but I haven't seen this poster for it yet. And yeah, it looks incredible.
Yeah, they did a really good job with it, I think.
Yeah, and then you also brought the one we were talking about earlier, the promising young woman piece by Scott Saslow, and yeah,
Yeah,
for the people to see, we talked about it. It's an incredible piece, so definitely something you should check out in the future.
and just a good illustration of like, and I really like these posters, the ones that are like one thing, one image, as opposed to a
Hmm.
compilation that can like perfectly encapsulate the feeling of a film or the theme of a film. And I think this is an
Hmm.
incredible example of a poster like that does that like very
Hmm.
effortlessly.
Um, Going back to the other or other two movies and posters for it, would you like to do a poster for those movies as well, or did you? Because I think I haven't seen
For which movies?
Sicario and the Halston TV show.
Oh gosh, I mean, I'd love to do one for Sicario, and I certainly have like multiple, like, I don't know if I want to say works in progress. They're just sort of ideas bouncing around in
Concepts. You have
my
concepts.
mind, concepts. But and it is hard, when you see uh when you're kind of like in the middle of conceptualizing
Hmm.
something and then somebody else comes out with an amazing one, and it kind of stops you in your tracks a
Yeah,
little bit.
I
So
get it.
you have to kind of like right, you have to refigure out your own concept. So that's one of the pieces that I would love to do one. Halston, I don't know that it needs a poster for me, but
I mean,
Sicario, that would be
it,
if I could figure out something great, I would love to.
but Halston hits kind of close to home, I'd say, in terms of the fashion industry. Wouldn't you like to do that one then? And like coming from that perspective?
That's true. All right, fine, Tom, I'll do it.
All right, there we go. We have a winner.
You got me, I'll do it.
Okay, great. Um, so, what's your opinion on galleries? Do you shop at galleries, especially when you look at the AMP world? Is it something you're interested, you're following, or?
I do. I don't tend to shop at galleries. I mean, I tend to I like to buy a lot of art,
Hmm.
but it's not typically
Yeah.
posters, at least not alternative movie posters. I really enjoy things like exhibition
Hmm.
prints, and even like I have a lot of photography that I like to buy. You know, when I have like a few extra shekels, but um, even if I'm not purchasing them, I do follow along with it, and I think once I mean, I know you know, like I don't have a desk, I don't have a, I don't even, not even my own apartment. So when that might materialize at some point in the future, it would be nice to pick up one or two of these pieces that I really love. I know I'll never match your beautiful collection, but
Thank you very much.
maybe I'll get
I mean, I
close.
started I started a couple of years back, so it's been a minute since I've
Yeah,
been
you
in.
got to jump on me.
Yeah. So and I have the flat file, and I think I got into the hobby of it, like following it, like in 2014, maybe 2015, and
Oh wow, okay, so a while
so,
ago.
that basically I was just looking at that point because I was still a student,
Okay.
didn't make that much money, so I couldn't like afford all the posters and like with the postage and like I didn't even like at some point I didn't even know where to get them. I just saw them and I knew it was like because I saw
Mm,
those are called Mondo posters and I thought it was like
right.
it wasn't called alternative movie posters, then it was called Mondo posters.
Oh,
and
that's so sweet.
and then yeah, so from that perspective, I at this one point I printed out, like I collected all digital files and I printed out little postcard size prints of each, and I had like at my when I had like this.
That's so
Yeah,
dedicated.
when I had the studio apartment, I had like probably like 150 prints in a poster card format, like a glossy picture postcard kind of style, and
Oh man.
and I had this printed out and I had like 150, 200, maybe more even, from all kinds of artists and all kinds of artworks in that direction, like pop culture art. And I had a
Right.
studio apartment. I put up on the door of the studio apartment. I put like a collage, a color coordinated collage of all the prints I enjoyed.
Oh my gosh.
This
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, but it just goes to show like how much enjoyment comes from
Yeah.
these works,
Exactly,
right?
exactly, and this is how it all started. And then I got my first prints. They're hard to see. They're these ones here. For the
Okay.
people, yeah, they all know maybe this one here. It's the Matt Ferguson
Right.
triptych for Star Wars. For the Star Wars original trilogy. And yeah, this is how it all started. It
Right.
was a timed edition. Got into that hobby. I did back then. It wasn't like you got a good chance to score on a drop. It's not like today, but yeah.
I know. It goes, you really have to like set an alert on your phone,
Uh,
you know? You can't be a couple of minutes late because you're out of
Yep,
luck.
exactly. And but that's what I always do. I put an alert like 5 minutes before if I really want something, and then I get ready with F5, logged already into the account, be ready with the PayPal or with the credit card info, and just get it done super quick.
Oh my, well, it served you well,
So far
obviously.
I did. So far I did.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So you said you collect some other kind of artwork. Is it the art we can see behind you, or
I mean, some of it, I don't really even know. Some of it is, these are like old
Mhm.
photographs and photographs from, even like from some magazines and things like that. But a lot of it is, and I don't have like, I don't live, I'm at my parents' house right now.
Hmm.
So all of my artwork that was up in my apartment is all either like packed
Hmm.
away or lost. I hope not lost. I hope I can find all of it. But a lot of it is, yeah, like exhibition posters from big gallery shows for big artists. Um, a lot of it is actually like Polish artwork. Um,
Yeah, like
some film posters. I like a gallery wall just as much as the next person. I tend to like a lot of black and white though, for my own, you
yeah.
know, aesthetic.
I got it. I got it. I changed it all to black and red right now, but I have like I used to have that last year in fall. I had this setup where it was all like brown, beige, and like not yellowish tones. I
Oh,
had like a total theme going on for the fall, so that was kind of nice.
so you change it out seasonally?
I try to do like every three to 4 months. I change it and then doing some new setups. I mean,
And then when you get a new one, does the whole thing, like if you get a new one that you really like, especially if it's big, the whole thing has to like move around?
it's going to be tough like doing that, but I
Yeah.
try. If it fits in, I would put it in right away. But uh, that's why I have other spots in the apartment where I put then like single pieces that I really want to be up, basically.
So that's like that must be your motivation for always needing a bigger apartment because you have more wall space.
Yes, but the girlfriend already said it
Yeah.
shouldn't. I shouldn't go crazy like right now. I'm living right now. I'm living by myself, but I'm
Okay.
gonna move in with my girlfriend in a month from now, and it's more wall space and more room, more footage, but yeah, it's gonna be restricted to the office. But I think the office is bigger than, and I have basically an office because this is the I have a very large living room, and it's just a bedroom
Okay.
place, but it's a really big place, and that's why my office or my little setup here is basically part of the living room.
So it's kind of, hopefully it'll kind of work out at least equal. Maybe you won't lose too much space.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. I think with the office, I can basically do anything I want in the office. So that's my good.
That's
And it's
good.
I think there's gonna be basically from top to bottom artwork. I
Really?
think
Oh,
so.
wow. Okay. Impressive. Very
I'm not
impressive.
sure yet. I'm gonna do some layouts, see what's gonna look like, and what the background of because
Hmm.
it's always gonna be the background of the podcast, so it has to
Right.
look the part. But we'll see.
Well,
We'll
look,
see.
that's your excuse for your girlfriend. You just look, it's for work. I mean,
She
like
knows. She knows. She's
it
very
has to be
forthcoming.
this, right?
I got her. I
That's
got her
good.
also. I got her into the hobby as well, and
Oh,
she's a
nice.
big Ghibli fan. So basically, I mean,
Oh,
she's not buying the prints. I always like buy them for her, but she really enjoys it
right.
because, like I said, like when's her birthday or when's Christmas, I got her. I think she
Mm.
has now 4 or 5 prints, all Ghibli prints by different artists, and yeah, she's really happy about those. Those are some cool prints.
Oh, wow. Well, if she likes Ghibli, then she has good taste. So,
Yeah, she approves as well.
yeah.
Okay. What you gave me one piece that is in your collection since we talked about it,
Mm.
and this is basically the last piece you put up, and you mentioned Polish posters or Polish prints. What is this one about?
Okay, so this one looks like kind of crazy, I know. And
It
it's the
looks like Medusa.
Polish yeah, it looks like Medusa. It's the Polish poster for Sunset Boulevard. That's what it says on the
Oh, okay.
bottom. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
quite an old piece, obviously, like not a new movie. And I had to. I went to Poland last year, and I had seen this piece online months and months and months before I went to Poland, and I thought to myself like,
Mm,
okay, because we were traveling throughout the country, and I
mm,
thought I'm gonna just see if maybe I can find this. I could only find like really low resolution images online, and
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find anyone who was selling one. And I thought, okay, well, if I go and I can't find one, then it'll be fine. I'll get over it. But that was my goal. So I think we were in, um, I want to say we were in Krakow, and we were kind of like lost. We were going down this very like small cobblestone street, and it was raining, and we were like, oh, we have to find somewhere to go in, and we found this this shop that had a whole bunch of posters in the window, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, what a fortuitous circumstance. So we went
Yeah,
in,
it's fate.
and it was fate, right? And it was huge. It was this gigantic shop. It had like rooms all over the place and a whole bunch of stuff that I like wasn't interested in, but we
Mm.
just kept kind of like moving through. And finally, in like this end little part of the shop,
Yeah.
they had all these old movie posters, and I was explaining to the lady, I was like, oh, there's this one that I like, and I was trying to pull up, on my phone,
Mm.
like, it's really small, and she had it. So
Crazy.
I was like, it was an amazing
How much did
thing,
you
and
pay
I
for
like
it?
babied it all the way. I think it was I want to say it was like 100 zloty, which is in Canadian dollars like $30
Yeah, that's a fair
Canadian,
deal. That's a fair deal.
I think. Yeah. So yeah, I was amazed. Like, I really couldn't believe that they had it, and they had a really big one, and it
Mm.
was in really, really good condition. So that was a coup for me, my little collection
Nice.
there.
Where's it gonna go when you put it up? I mean, you already mentioned that you're not gonna put it up, or you don't have it put up right now. But yeah, where's it
No,
gonna
I
go?
have it like it's against the wall in my house, and I had to put it in my closet because my cat
Yeah.
kept
Okay.
like going behind it, knocking it over. So I took it out to take that photo. But
Oh.
I think it's a good piece for either like a front hallway or a
Mm-hmm.
bathroom.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. By the way,
You know?
speaking of cats, but it wasn't a cat. I have like a Roomba, and
Oh, okay.
I had the worst moment in my like one of the worst moments in my life when I came home because I had the same setup and the Roomba knocked over the painting and it was still Roombaing, cleaning up and stuff like that. And
Oh no.
I was inside. I was like, my tears almost shot into my eyes, and I was like, oh
Oh
no,
my
the
gosh.
poster's ruined. But I went there and it just took off like the acrylic glass that was on it. That was damaged. The poster was fine, and I was like, oh, I was
Oh my
dying. I
goodness.
was dying inside until I got
That was a
there.
close call.
Yeah, I was. Then I knew,
It's a
oh,
dangerous
never
business.
gonna do that again. Yeah,
I know. You have to really watch out. There's so many terrors that can befall artwork. I mean, you just never know what danger is lurking around the corner, honestly.
exactly. Um, I was wondering your office. What is it gonna look like? It's really interesting to see offices from Mars.
Okay, don't laugh.
I'm
Honestly,
not. I'm not.
it's not like you are, but and that's fine. But and it's funny because I've seen like other episodes obviously where
Mm-hmm.
you've got like Matt Ferguson is like this like beautiful, setup. And people have like their like Cintiq,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, this is my desk with my like five, all these different, Eileen has like a beautiful, like very photo ready setup with her like different
Mm-hmm.
monitors and stuff. Um, and I had to laugh because yeah, I don't have a desk, I don't have an office. I literally just have like my old laptop that I use on my bed. That's my setup. So and
How
even when I had my own apartment, I didn't have an office. So
how is it? How is it working out? How can you turn out great pieces like the ones you do on this setup without a desk?
I I don't know.
Do
I
you do
guess I
everything with a
just am
trackpad?
committed to it. Yeah.
Jeez, you're crazy.
Yeah, I don't have a, although I am gonna get finally an iPad Pro with,
With
the
the
pencil and
M1? Oh,
everything. But again,
get the new one. The new one is
yeah,
crazy.
with the M1.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that one I know it looks incredible, and I think it's coming out like
Yeah,
really
yeah.
soon. And yeah, it'll be pretty soon. So I am finally gonna bite the bullet and do that. But um, I don't know. I feel like my trackpad skill
Hmm.
is like ultimate level at this
Okay.
point. Which I don't know that that's something to be proud of. I'm sure it's actually not. Other
Hey,
people
come
would
on.
be like, "Why are you doing this?"
If you can turn out
But
great art with that, let's see what you can do with like an
yeah,
iPad or something.
well, necessity is the mother of invention, right? So
Indeed.
I think it's served me well. But yeah, that's the next step for me is to add to my setup an iPad so that I have one extra thing, and
Hmm.
then start figuring out where to go from there.
All right, the Cintiq is in the future. I can tell. You should. I mean, they're not that
I that's the goal.
or the Wacom tablet. I think like some artists they always say like it's like I don't know. There's the Wacom starter pad like the graphic pad, which is like $50 or so.
I mean, I've used um, the Wacom, just the
Yeah.
pad, but I don't actually feel like and maybe it's just because I didn't spend enough time
Hmm.
learning to use the tool, but I didn't actually feel that it gave me that much more control than what I can actually do with the trackpad, which I'm sure anyone who uses this tablet is like, what are you talking about? But they're like, that's sacrilege. But like, it's just ridiculous. But I think I'm at the point now where unless I'm actually drawing on the image,
Hmm.
it's not really worth it for me to get like an in between. Do you know what I mean by
Yeah, I
that?
got you. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see
Do
what ends up
do
happening.
do the iPad, see what's up, and also an option. I mean, this the Surface is also very good to do that. I heard
Yeah.
Matt Ferguson is working on the Surface, so
Yeah, I think I'm sufficiently I guess I'm part of the Apple cult at this point.
fair
I'll
enough.
I'll admit that for sure. I'm one of those people that's like, I could admit that I'm drawn in by their advertising. Um, so and whenever there's a new one, you're like, oh, okay, well, I might as well get the new one. So yeah, but
I'm
I'm excited. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with the new one always on the phone. That's what I have. I have this plan, this cell phone plan where I can upgrade every year on the phone.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I always have the new iPhone, but I mean it's also like a tool for work. I'm filming with this right now, so this is what I use it for. So it has to be good camera quality.
Yeah,
I
it's a
didn't
business expense.
yeah I didn't buy the bullet in terms of bite the bullet in terms of getting a camera, but yeah,
Okay.
so
You
using the
got you
phone
got to make those hard decisions.
exactly. And since I want the phone anyways, and I used to take a lot of photos. I mean, sadly, I didn't do that right now since COVID happened, but I think I got an eye for a couple good photos. So I'm looking forward to when I actually can go out and take photos again. In terms of, I like to do street photography. So
Okay, yeah.
yeah. Alrighty, since we talked about work, is there something you're working on right now?
Uh,
Something you can talk
yes, I
about?
have two. Not really. I have two projects going on right now.
Okay,
They are both NDA, so
as always.
um, I can't really chat about that. But
Sure.
and that is kind of like taking up all my. It's funny, for when you get into this field, you start out doing all just personal projects, right?
Hmm.
Just your own pieces, and you just do whatever you want, and then you start taking on work, and then all your personal stuff like just falls to the wayside a little bit, right? So that's kind of the situation that I'm in right now, where I have all these little concepts, but I just know I won't have the time get to them until, time allows.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I don't know. One of them is kind of like an ongoing thing, so I don't know what the timeline is on that, and the other one I think will be a little bit shorter. But yeah, otherwise, the only other thing I have going on right now is I'm part of the Poster Spy book, which is
There you
coming
go.
out,
Yeah.
which is really cool. And there's a whole bunch of really incredible, like some of my absolute favorite artists are in there. So if people, don't have a lot of wall space like you, Tom, but
Mm-hmm.
they like posters, then that's something that they can pick up. I think the pre-order is, yeah, you can pre-order now. So
Yeah.
that's a fun project. And yeah, I'm just learning how to balance work and all my little personal ideas. That'll be my goal for the future.
That's great. Um, since we talked about what you're working on, can you give us a little idea of how you work? Is there a certain approach you do for a project? How much time do you plan? How do you like your prints to come out?
Um, I I'm a very like anxious worker, I guess is the right way to. I always kind of have this uh need to, like, as soon as someone approaches me, as soon as a client approaches me about their project, after I've read like the little blurb or whatever information it is that they've given me, I always kind of feel like I have to have an idea right away. And if I don't have an idea right away, then something is wrong.
Mm.
So I always really rush to, not rush, but I feel a sort of personal pressure to have an idea very quickly. And obviously, some clients have really accelerated timelines, right?
Yeah.
So you may not, you might like only have, a week or sometimes even a couple days, and it's kind of last minute. So I always work very anxiously getting my concept together. And I never sketch anything. Even
Okay.
when I was in like art school, I never sketched anything. I don't know why that is or why that happened. I always work in program. I always have just preferred to work in the file
But do you
and figure
sketch?
it out.
Do you sketch in the program?
Sometimes, uh, but not really that much.
Okay.
I think that might change as I transition perhaps more into illustration or like become more comfortable with illustration, but certainly with photo manipulation, um yeah, not really. It really just like kind of creates itself as I go somehow. And I'm the kind of person who, before I figured out like how to use smart layers in Photoshop, I would have like, I would duplicate something
Mm.
and then just hide it. And I would have like 6 hidden versions of something as I like tested out what I wanted
Mm.
to do. So that was a fun. But again, like I'm self-taught. So I feel like
Yeah.
every time I do a new project is really an opportunity for me to. I really learn a lot still on every project. And maybe I think even
Mm.
really experienced artists probably say that too.
Of course they do. I mean, there's always something to learn.
Mm.
Um, when it comes to prints, I mean, you do printing. We talked about G-clay prints. How do you like to come, to have those prints come out? Is there a certain paper you really like? Kind of maybe like a colorway of the paper? Is there, when it comes, I mean, screen printing is always like a limited color palette. Is
Mhm.
there something you like to focus on?
I mean, um I tend to like, for myself personally, I tend to like a creamy paper that's a heavier weight.
Mm-hmm.
But what I have learned from people and I also really actually like a matte finish, like as opposed to a shiny.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems to be not what most people like. That when I talk to them, they like a white paper, they like a satin finish. so all of my prints that I have available are basically in that like style.
Yeah.
Um, but and I think that if I with screen printing and it's the limited color, and I just think, how would they do that though with some of my pieces? I just don't know. So that's the next sort of frontier for me,
Yeah,
figuring that out.
the very knowledgeable Joshua Buddig, he said basically you can do almost any color with 5 colors, like a 5 color screen print.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. And I know that like the people who go through and separate
Yeah, that's the
are
magic. That's where the magic
so
happens.
good. That's
Basically,
incredible. I mean, truly, that is amazing.
I mean, Matt Ferguson does a lot of separations for the artists from the UK as well.
Mm.
But San Jose, the Spanish artist, do you know him?
No, I'm not familiar with him.
Check him out. He's incredible. He's basically behind all Jake's work. He is doing the separations for that, and he's doing for, I think, behind the scenes almost every print that is a private commission or anything. San Jose did the separations on this one.
Oh, wow.
He's
Okay,
he's
that's amazing.
he's
Yeah.
he's missed the separation, so he knows what's up.
Well, I'm sure he deserves that moniker.
He
It's
does.
very wow. It's very interesting to see and read about that process. Um, and yeah, I think that if I ever did a screen print, I mean, I think for me, a screen print is kind of the pinnacle of what this type of artwork
Hmm.
can get. I don't know, maybe that's what I think anyway. And I do think that I would be a little more um, opinionated on how I want it to turn out should I get to that point.
Hmm. But yeah, don't go crazy on the screen printing. I mean, it's what most collectors I think want to go for. But I think it has changed.
Mm,
Even big artists do G-clays or lithographs, or even rissographs at some point. And
yeah,
it's good to see that it's not always printing right now. It depends on the artwork and on the artist, of course, what
yeah.
kind of printing method is the best. And I mean, there was like the little I wouldn't call it debacle, but the problem with the gaps print for the Lord of the Rings. And
Oh,
there
really?
was a they shipped out the variants. They had a timed edition, a variant, and like a foil version. And the variants all
Okay.
shipped for the single, like for the people that bought it, just a variant. And the printing was, yeah, not
Really?
not as up to
Okay.
standard as the digital image looked, obviously. And
Right.
compared to Ruiz Burgos' Lord of the Rings, which is detailed and super incredible, and as a G clay, it looked way better. And I think the printing method for a G clay or a lithograph would have been better for the amount of details and quality for the gaps print. But it's a screen print, and I think a
Yeah,
24 color screen print. I think, and it's like there's a lot going on, and it's really hard to
totally.
print it perfectly. So. But yeah,
Well, and that is an exceptionally detailed piece. Like
exactly.
it's just there's so much. I mean, it's so beautiful, but yeah, there is a lot going on there.
Mm.
Um, wow. Okay, that's very interesting and good to know. And I think that's a really good way of thinking of it in terms of it's really not about what's the best way of printing in general. It's what is best for each individual piece of art to make
Hmm.
sure that that shines as much as possible.
Exactly. Yeah, speaking of artwork, what would you say is the most challenging art you did?
Mm, the cell was really hard.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the stock footage
that
research was
that
hard.
was really hard. Um, and then Point Break was really hard. I
What was so
think
hard about it?
you know, okay, and I'll try to give you an example. Like I know I said that like I don't like ever sketch anything, but I I had this like idea in my mind of what I wanted to do, but when you're not an illustrator and you're relying on stock images and photo manipulation, if you like
Mm.
can't find the exact, you know, 40 images or whatever it takes to create one
Mm-hmm.
piece, it's always that's always the clock that you're running against to make sure that you can find those images that like perfectly encapsulate what you want. And I remember I was really frustrated about it. My mom was like, "Well, I don't understand what you mean. You know, what is it that you're trying to do?" And I was drawing for her, and I don't even have like a pen or anything, but I basically just drew like a square, like a landscape
Mm.
square with like a squiggly line at the top for the water, and then like a a, a very basic line drawing of a
So
surfboard.
basically the
And I was
composition,
like,
right?
that's it. Like, yeah, just the composition, like in a very basic, like, 5-year-old line drawing. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is what I'm trying to do. And she was like, okay, well, why can't you just do that? And I was like, yeah, okay. And somehow that got me past the hump. I don't know.
Well,
It didn't seem to make any sense, but it somehow worked. So it just took a long time to find um, the images that I
Mhm.
wanted, and then I kept going back and forth on the color, and whether I wanted. At one point, it was actually in neon,
Okay.
so that and it had like a lot of like acid green and a very very like saturated pink. So
Mm.
in the end, I decided against that. But yeah, somehow that process was just the conceptualizing of it was randomly very, and I solved it in a very easy way. So thanks, Mom.
Shout out to the mom.
Yeah.
um, is there any IP or any idea you want to work on? Maybe something old, something new, music, sports. What do you want to work on?
Um. Yeah, I do. I mean, I think there's always so many. Um, you have so many like random concepts kind of swirling around in your mind like marbles. But I really like um, a James Bond. I always struggle to say series because there's so many of them, and then
Hmm.
if you do a couple, you have to do the rest of them, and you can't leave it unfinished. So I think right
But
now I would want to
but
do GoldenEye. That would be the one at least I would start with.
okay, but maybe you could do the Pierce Brosnan series, so you don't have to do them all,
Yeah,
but
I
just do certain Bonds.
could. That's true. That's true. I could do just his, although not all the Pierce Brosnans are
What's your
as good.
favorite
I
Bond?
mean, not
Who's your favorite Bond?
um I think it has probably switched to Daniel Craig. I I just think that there are
Okay,
I like so
I
many
gotta hang up
individual
now. I'm sorry.
movies. I like so many individual movies from each Bond, and I have a
Yeah.
lot of friends who are very like um this is a very actually funnily enough, if you're a big Bond fan, at the college I went to at Trinity, there
Hmm.
was a James Bond society where everybody dressed up in tuxedos and fancy dresses and watched the movies. So
And we're
it's a love
drinking
shared around the
martinis.
world, obviously. Um, but yeah, I think for me sometimes it's not so much about um, even necessarily like his performance, but more about the quality of the overall film and the watchability of the films. Like so many of the older Bonds, I think for me, um, I have a lot of like emotional attachment to because I've seen them so many times over the
Hmm.
years. Um, but I don't necessarily think the watchability of those films is as like
Hmm.
it's not necessarily as
Hmm.
pleasurable maybe for me as it is to watch some of the newer movies on the whole.
I have to
But
say it's the other way around for me in this case.
is it the other way
I
around for
like the
you?
older ones. I mean, I like even the '90s ones. I'm a big GoldenEye fan, and like all the Pierce Brosnan. I think,
I think GoldenEye is my favorite movie
yeah,
for sure.
okay.
That is like the the number one movie. I don't know that Pierce Brosnan overall was my favorite
Yeah.
Bond, and I don't think that his performance throughout his films, like certainly by the end, I'm sorry, you can't say
Yeah, no,
it was as
I
good.
got
It
what
just
you're saying.
wasn't. You you
But still
can't
for me,
sit there,
it's
Tom, and say that it is.
yes. I'm not gonna say that, but still, I'm saying Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan, and then Daniel Craig.
Yeah, Sean Connery, I think for sure is is up there absolutely. Um, I think if all of Pierce Brosnan's films had been like GoldenEye, which is just one of the best Bond films ever. Like everything
Hmm.
comes together in that movie. Absolutely everything. There's not a single thing wrong with it. Okay, the music, the supporting characters, the dialogue, the hokiness of it. It's excellent. Everything is perfect. But if all of them had been like that, that would be then he would be the best Bond. But yeah, that's why I would want to start. And honestly, a lot of Bond posters are. It's interesting because not many IP, like so many, series don't span such an absolutely huge like decades, right? So for
Hmm.
the official posters for the films, there's such a difference in how the actual posters have come out over the last
Yeah.
like 40 years, right? Yeah, I think
Hmm.
like 40 years.
I think even 50,
Um,
like late 60s or
yeah,
so.
yeah, maybe 50. Yeah, so it's really gone. There's just such a huge amount of variety in the official and the key art for all those projects. So that's
Mm.
interesting to see too.
Who do you want to be the next Bond?
Oh gosh. I really don't know. I mean, I didn't think that I would like Daniel Craig when he got it, and
Yeah.
I ended up really liking him. Um, I think I heard, I don't know that this is true, but the gentleman who played the lead in Bridgerton on Netflix, I don't know his name in real life.
The
Very attractive, tall, black gentleman.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
I
I
think
hope not. He's too young.
I'm sure that I'm sure that I heard that. But there's one other guy that I
If
think, yeah,
here's my
Aldous Hodge. I think he would
oh
do a good one,
yeah
even though he's American. But I
yeah.
think he would be a really good pick.
I would say if I could choose, if it's gonna be a black person, I'm gonna go with Idris Elba. As a lot of people are saying, that's a good choice for
But don't
me.
you think that Idris Elba is a little old? No?
Daniel Craig is old.
I mean, he's certainly older now than he was at the beginning. I feel like it's been going forever,
Yeah,
but maybe that's just my age
but
bias
look
too.
looking at like you know what they say, black don't crack. That's what they say, and I think that
Well,
also
yeah, Idris
suits.
Elba will be attractive until the day he dies.
See,
I
there
mean,
you
that is
go. So
certainly true.
there's no
So,
reason for the age, I'd say. And yeah, if that is going to be Idris Elba, if it's going to be another white James Bond, I'm going to go with Tom Hiddleston. And
no.
yes,
What?
I
Tom
love Tom
Hiddleston?
Hiddleston. He's the best.
What?
Did you
Okay, the
see
one thing.
did you see the spy series he did with Hugh Laurie? That was amazing. He just
Yeah, what
basically
was it called? The Night Manager?
exactly he qualified
Was
for
that
that.
it?
Yeah, it was it.
Okay, look, I agree with you that he was very good in that. And I agree with you that that was a good indication of how he could be as Bond. I think the thing with Tom Hiddleston for me is that he's too smooth. He's like a Roger Moore Bond,
Okay,
you
but come on,
know?
Pierce
Like,
Brosnan,
uh,
he's pretty smooth, I'd say.
but he had a little bit of grit to him, though. He wasn't.
But
He
he's
was like,
Loki. Come on,
it's.
he's Loki. That's great.
Yeah, he's Loki, but that who cares about that? I mean, that has nothing to do with the one has nothing to do with the other. Okay, look. The thing is that I think it matters like what kind of Bond you like. But that's so interesting because if you really like Sean Connery,
Yeah.
he's not. I mean, yes, of course he was obviously very, smooth, but he wasn't like a gentleman Bond. He was a rougher Bond. So that's interesting that Tom Hiddleston is your pick.
Yeah, there you go. I'm very versatile.
You'll have to percolate on this for the next like 24 hours.
It's gonna be. I'm gonna stick with it. I love Tom Hiddleston. He's a great actor, and I would love to see him do a Bond. And if it's gonna be a woman,
is this the last one? Like, is the next Bond?
Yeah.
We know it's gonna be a new person. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And if it's gonna be a woman, which I also would love, I would love to see, as they mentioned, Captain Marvel's sidekick. I forgot her name. The mother mother of WandaVision hero lady. Some French, but I don't know. But you know what we're talking about here.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Maria. No, what's her was a character? I forgot the character's name. But never mind.
It would be really interesting to see Bond as a woman. I mean,
could be done.
I think it would have to be done. Yeah, I think it would have to be done carefully. Like you wouldn't want it to be a gimmick, right?
Yeah, but looking at Charlize Theron in Atomic Blonde, that worked, and I think it could do again for a Bond.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that with the right actress and the right script, like the right treatment of their character, there's certainly the possibility for it to be exceptional. And I do think too that, you know, part of the thing with Bond is the Bond girl, right? So it would be very interesting to see, or I guess the two Bond girls, I suppose, I think in all the movies, right?
Yeah.
So that would be very interesting to see how that is treated.
Have Ben Barnes.
Is there a Bond guy? Are there Bond men?
Ben Barnes be the villain or whatever, and whatever, like some Tom Hiddleston.
Wow,
let
that would
Tom
be
Hiddleston
phenomenal.
be the love affair, the agent.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Ben Barnes would be such a good. Get him in there. He plays such a good villain. Even in The Punisher, he was like so good. And he just has that, and in Westworld too. And he just has that
and
face.
Now in Shadow and Bone.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I fully support that pick. I fully support that. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, but yeah, anything else you want to work on? Is it maybe sports or music? You want to do something for that, or?
I can't even speak to sports. I don't really know. I've been concussed multiple times as a spectator in a sport.
How?
Sports are.
We want to hear stories.
Are difficult for me, unfortunately. I'm always in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know. Basketballs, footballs. It's just an unfortunate, it's just a risk that I take every time I walk out the door, you know. I don't know what to say about that, but I think I should steer clear of sports for that reason. Music, I think music posters are really beautiful. And they can be so interesting. But I think for now I'm going to try and stick to... I'll stick to movies.
Okay. What's your genre, by the way, music-wise?
I really listen to, like, tons and tons of stuff. And some of the most amazing like music posters for concerts and shows are for artists that I wouldn't even like necessarily listen to that much. It's just like, you know, the concept kind of transcends.
But would you I don't know, would you love to do, since you're a very big Britney Spears fan, do a Britney Spears poster? I don't know.
I think there's a lot of people who would be interested in that, but especially with her, you know, the Free Britney movement that's going on right now. But I don't know. No, I think I would love to do something like folk music. I think that would be, I think there's a lot of really cool aesthetic sort of tropes that would really look really interesting. Yeah, I think folk music. And again, I don't feel like I listen to necessarily a lot of folk music, but I think that would be a cool playground to play around in.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now we come to my favorite question. Which classical artist would you like to see make a film poster, and which movie or franchise would it be?
Right. Okay. So, this is.
Did it take you long, by the
I
way?
really liked this question. No, I knew right away.
Okay.
But I'm a big art history person.
There you go.
So, I always appreciate any fellow, individuals who are interested in that. So my individual that I picked is Caravaggio.
Caravaggio, such a
who
classic.
I think such a classic, right? I mean, and maybe I don't know. I think he's quite mainstream now. I don't know that he always was, but
Yeah, I mean,
I think
he has so many pieces that hang in with the biggest galleries in the world. So have you seen one in person?
yeah. Yes, I have. I went to
Florence?
a couple years ago. I was in Italy with my mom, and we were in Rome, and we were lucky enough to have a very small tour in a section of the Papal Museum that normally isn't open, and there were some pieces of his in there. But we were in the funny thing about Italy is like every single church has like a masterpiece in it.
Basically.
So if you're just wandering down the street, you can just wander into a random, tiny little church, and these paintings are there. And that kind of happened actually a bunch of times with his works, because they're all kind of sort of spread throughout the city and throughout even, throughout the country. And they're huge in person. They're absolutely these just massive works. And they're just very emotional and dramatic. I think he's obviously the master of that specific style, tenebrism, I think. Yeah. So it really lends itself, I think, to a lot of different ideas for contemporary work.
Like what, for example?
Okay, so I think the first thing that I thought of was something like The Departed.
Okay.
Which...
That's interesting.
Because it's kind of... And obviously, like, the key art for The Departed is not in this, style at all.
Yeah.
But it has that kind of sense of, like, pathos and, like, family drama and regular people who are in these very dramatic, emotional situations with each other. So I like the idea of that.
Okay, yeah.
And then I also like the idea of Constantine, which obviously, because it has a religious, semi-religious, I suppose, element to it. And I was looking back at all the posters for Constantine, and they're all kind of like, that's sort of a character who's not maybe had the best luck in terms of adaptations.
Yeah, they should do like a really cool Constantine poster. I think also Jake would make probably a good one.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no. And I think Jake, really in his own style, I think is a perfect example of this kind of like chiaroscuro, like very light highlights against these like very dark shadows, that like really contrasty style. I think he would do, and it's very painterly. Yeah. How his pieces look. So I think that could be incredible. Yeah. Oh, that's such a good idea.
I'll talk to him.
Get on that.
I'll talk to him. Yeah, and also like the other choice you made, Succession.
Oh God, what was it? Oh yeah, Succession.
What a great show.
That's right.
What a great show.
Yeah, and they're which is a very hard show to watch for me. I get so anxious.
I loved it, and every minute of it.
It's incredible, but it's because there's not one character is like entirely likable, right? So you're always kind of.
Where's the third? Where's the third season? I'm so waiting on this one.
It's filming. I think it's filming now,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think maybe is it? I don't know if it's filming or if it's done already. I hope at least. I mean, it should. It's been 2 years now.
Yeah,
It's been quite some time.
totally. We've really been waiting.
Hmm.
It's agony completely, but and it's funny because the key art for Succession features these kind of like big oil
Hmm.
paintings in the
Yeah,
background. Not in every poster, but in a lot of them.
yeah. The one
So
you did
when I
is
saw that, I
really
thought,
good
oh,
example.
that's so funny that yeah. But I think that's a really good. They could really benefit
Yep,
from something like that. HBO has the money to
indeed.
commission
Do something, HBO.
commission something like that. Yeah.
Alrighty. Last question. Do you have any tips for beginners or something you want to like get off your chest in terms you want to give something on the way, some of your experience in terms of maybe hardware, software, utensils, social media? I mean, when it comes to hardware, the most important one is, I mean, you can do stuff with a trackpad, people.
Yeah, honestly, I think gosh, I mean, I consider myself to be very much a beginner still, and I'm new to this community as well. But I think that um, the most important thing is always just to keep creating. I mean, create as much as you can, and really just not to worry about like you know I think that there's something that many people in this community struggle with, which is that you're always surrounded by so many other artists who are doing work that you really admire. And on the one hand, that's very inspiring, but on the other hand, it can be incredibly depressing because you hear about someone like someone has a licensed print or someone's done the official, the key art for this miniseries or this movie, and you think, oh my gosh, am I ever going to do anything like that? And I think the most important thing that I would say to other people starting out is uh, when you encounter situations like that, really just try and keep like a learner's mindset and just treat those as opportunities to learn a new skill or a new tool, moving from your trackpad to your Apple Pencil, um, and really treat those as opportunities just to sort of like refine your style and not to get discouraged about what other people are or aren't doing. And if you can really just keep it about the art, then I think you're always going to be on the right path. And I also just think too, like one of the things that I've done a lot is reach out to other people in the community and in the industry, because I didn't I mean I'm like self-taught, and I don't have like a background really in this field. So for me, it was reaching out to people like Eileen, for example. When I got one of my first jobs, I sent a message to Eileen, and I was like, hey, like I'm actually getting work now. Do you have any um, like advice for me, or can you tell me how you interacted with a client? And I've reached out to a bunch of people like that in the community who've been very forthcoming with advice and have been super helpful. And even when it comes to like I had an issue the other day that I messaged someone and I said, I'm having an issue with this client and I haven't really like dealt with this before. Has anything happened to you like that? And they were able to give me some really good advice. So I guess I would also just say, don't be afraid to reach out to people in the community, and don't be afraid to be social on these social networks where we all meet each other. So don't be a stranger with other people, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, it is not a competition.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard, but just keep going. Just especially when you're most discouraged, keep going.
Yeah. Not a question, but giving you some opportunity to promote yourself, of course. Where can people find you, and or how do we get your art, basically? And second one, you want to give shout outs to artists, friends, family, somebody in general. Now it's your chance. It's the Oscars. I'm gonna put in the music when it's done. No, no, you got all the time in the world, so take it.
You should play it when you edit this, you should put the music halfway through
Yeah,
when
yeah,
when I'm talking, so that you can like lead me off the stage.
yeah.
Um, okay, well, you can find me online. I have a website. It's haleyturnbull.com. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm both on both places. I'm at Le Scarlet Woman. And yeah, I have a tiny, tiny little shop on my website where I have some pieces up for sale. And yeah, if you want to chat or have any ideas or anything, I'm always happy to chat with people and all that good stuff. And then you can find my work. As I said, I'm in the upcoming Poster Spy book, and again, some really beautiful, beautiful artworks in there. If you are someone who likes hearing from artists about their process or likes seeing sketches, I, of course, contributed no process sketches because I don't sketch. However, many other artists did contribute them. And so if you're a beginner and you want to have a good sort of understanding of how other people work, that's a really good resource, I think, and it will be out soon, so you can pre-order that. And then, yeah, I think that's it for me. I'm not too many other places. And I'm more active on Twitter. So
Okay.
if you're on Twitter, come find me.
You want to give shout outs?
And then for shout outs, yeah, I mean, I think I shouted out a lot of people. We've talked about some of my favorite people. But I have to say, I really do. Every time Scott Saslow like uploads anything, I'm like always just so. I think he's so incredible. And he's on Instagram and also on Twitter. Again, Jay Contu, who we've talked a lot about. I know Eileen needs no introduction. She's incredible. And so friendly and helpful and very talented. And then I also really like Snollygoster.
Yeah.
Who I think is on Instagram and Twitter under Snollygoster. So those are whenever any of them upload anything, I'm always like eagle eyes on anything they're doing. So if someone listening doesn't know them yet or hasn't happened upon their incredible work, they should definitely mosey over there.
Exactly, people. We've been tagging all the people always on the release shows as well, and yeah, so check them out. And yeah, Haley, thank you so much for coming on. It's been such a pleasure. And I hope you had a great time, because definitely I did. We talked.
I did. It was so lovely to be asked. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. I really enjoyed our bond talk. I think that was very bonding.
Oh my gosh, it was. Well, and then once the next one is out, finally, because we've been waiting so long, we'll regroup and see how we feel about it.
Exactly. That's what we'll do. Okay. Thank you so much again for coming on, and thank you, people, for tuning in. Please follow this lady on Instagram and the social medias. It's definitely worth a follow, and especially also the other people that we talked about. So many great artists out there. If you haven't followed them yet, do it now. And yeah, next time we will talk to Matt Ryan Tobin for a full-on interview, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be in 2 weeks' time. I'll see you then. Take care, guys. Bye.